I want to encourage everybody to create your own podcast. Tell your story. Get it out there. Let people know what you're thinking about. Let people know what you're feeling. You'll be surprised how many people will be relatable to what you're going through. I love this app because it allows my voice to get out there more than what it is. You can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You will not regret it. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dante. And I was trying to get some sleep earlier. Well, not earlier, a little while ago. Nodded off for a second, woke back up. And, I had something on my mind earlier that I just wanted to share. My podcast is centered a lot around mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD, stuff like that. One thing I wanted to say that I don't think I talked about was, we go through our mental health issues, but we don't talk about the family that see us struggling with it. When we struggle with our mental health issues, our family struggles just the same, if not more. And the reason I say if not more is because, they don't know fully, what we go through. They just have to watch it from the sidelines. And if we're not talking to them about it, there's no way that they could understand or even somewhat understand what it is that we're going through. So it's important that we let them know how we're feeling, what we're going through, if we're dealing with it, how we're dealing with it, ways we find to cope, ways we find to get over, our methods of surviving mental health. I was thinking about that because, I was at work and I was talking with a lady who's an advocate for mental health, and she was telling me about how she's been suffering with it. And, her husband was telling me about his battles with watching her go through it and not understanding what it is that she go through. And, having mental health issues can put a lot on any relationship, any friendship. It could drive a wedge between anything. And, it's up to us that we don't let that happen. We have to find a way to get in front of that. One thing I know as people, we tend to hurt the people that are closest to us. And when we are not telling them what we're going through or what we're suffering through or what we're dealing with, it makes them suffer more because the people that love us the most want to help us, not hurt. They want to help us the most. So they watch and they try to come up with their own things of what's wrong with us, and it hurts when they can't figure it out and we're not telling them about it because they have to try and figure it out and they feel like we're not letting them in. And one of my things is not going through things alone, so having someone to confide in, especially if it's someone like a wife or a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, someone that loves you the most can be an outlet for you. It's up to us to let them in and explain to them like certain things that we feel. Like with my PTSD, I know if I get to talking a lot that my PTSD is kicking in because it makes my mind race. So if I'm having a conversation with someone, I try to tell them like, yo, my PTSD kicking in. And if I get the rambling and just going on and on and on and on, feel free to jump in and stop me. Might not work, but I already like to talk, but with my PTSD going, then it's just rapid. I just speak and talk, and I just keep going. There's no end because I have a lot going through my head that I want to get out. And one of my ways of getting it out is speaking it into the atmosphere. So I don't know exactly the thoughts of people that are looking at us go through this, but I know it can have an effect on them just as much as it have an effect on us. The first time I had an anxiety attack in front of my wife, I couldn't really speak, but I was sitting there, I was laying there, I was shaking and I couldn't breathe, and I'm trying to get myself to calm down. And it wasn't like a trigger for it. We were just laying in bed and I had it. And, it scared the life out of her, because she didn't know what to do. She thought I was going to die. She thought she was watching me die, And I had anxiety attacks before that, but I never explained it to her, like how the anxiety attacks go, how long they last or how long they've been lasting. And, I never told her what it was that I thought that she needed to do, to help me. And at that time, I didn't really know what it was that she could do. So after, I was telling her, there's nothing that she could do. She's got to watch and wait like I'm waiting, And for somebody to be scared like that, watching you go through something, it does something to them as well, that feeling or that sight, just watching somebody go through something is terrifying. And, it's important that we let them know how things are with us before they get to witness stuff like that. Because I can't imagine how afraid she was. And, that's 100% on me because I never explained it to her. I never told her that I was going through this, that I was having anxiety attacks. And, once I start to talk about things, I start to figure out triggers and ways to deal with it. And my anxiety attacks has gotten a lot better. I have them more frequently now that I'm back to work and trying to climb this damn pole. But, the more I talk about things, the more my brain get to process everything. So it makes me pay attention to my triggers, and it make me think about ways to deal with it. One thing that I've always done was research what I was going through, look at other people's stories, listen to them on YouTube or something to see what it is they go through. And also I try to talk to people that have some of the issues that I have with all of this. And it helps because it can put things into perspective for you, especially when you don't know what you're dealing with. If it's new to you, it helps to talk to people that's going through it or has been through it. And it'll help you identify when things are starting to come up, especially with anxiety and stressful situations. I don't really have anxiety attacks around a lot of people, but I hate crowds. I hate really big crowds. They make me super nervous, and it's like I'm trying to watch everything that's going on. And it's a super stressful situation, but it's never caused me to have anxiety attacks. But some people do get anxiety attacks from crowds. So when you hear other people's story, it lets you know things to look out for, possible things to look out for. But you don't want to damage a relationship with anybody because you don't want to tell them, what you're going through. And I think that's one of the easiest ways to start to push somebody away because we refuse to be honest with them and open with them. And, that's an essential part of being in any relationship, especially if it's marriage, because your husband and your wife, they're supposed to be the people that know you best. And if you're not giving that part of you to them to help you, not only are you hurting yourself, but you're hurting them as well. And then you're hurting the relationship that y'all are in. If it's friends, friends will be concerned, they'll be worried, and they'll be trying to figure out what's going on with you as well. And, that'll drive your closest friends away because you don't want to be open with them. And if you have an anxiety attacks around them, it may stop them from coming around because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to help you, and we're not letting them help us. So it's really important that we tell people, especially the ones close to us, everything that we go through with mental health issues. I know sometimes, like with depression, we don't want the people closest to us to know because we don't want them to look at us different. But those will be the ones that'll help us. And this is me having confidence in people, because that's what I like to do. I like to think the most of people. But I think people, when they know what's going on, they'll be quicker to lend a helping hand, to maybe even do research themselves on how they can help us. But it's up to us to tell them what's going on. And if you hear this and you're going through something and you don't really know what it is, do some research about that. Look up anything about anything that you're feeling. And I can tell you it'll be a bunch of things that'll pop up. It'll be a bunch of stories that'll pop up. Because that's what I did when I first developed my PTSD. And my psychologist put a name to it. The first thing I did when I went home was, research it. I was looking at, like, the outcomes of it, what other mental health issues it causes, if it's treatable, if it goes away, if it's lifelong. And you hear it all. You hear stories of people that get over it. You hear people that's been dealing with it all their lives. But once you tell people like what it is that you go through, there's a good chance that they may do research on their part, being the helper, so to speak. And then if they're doing that research, that they're trying to get in a better position to help you when you have episodes, and we got to give them all the credit in the world for that, because they don't have to, It's like, it's our situation, it's our thing. But it's okay to trust in people that they will actually be there to help. I know with mental health issues, one thing we don't have initially is trust in people because of judgment and the way that they'll look at us, or the way they might make fun of us. But F that noise, for real, because you may get that one person that will see people making fun of it or trying to make you feel ashamed of it, that might stand up and kick some ass for you. You know what I mean? And that's a confidence builder. When you have people that's willing to go that battle, have people that's willing to help you out and do what they think they could do, it's a confidence builder, and it helps you get stronger to deal with whatever it is that you go through. I think having a good support system is one of the best things in the world. You know, if you have an immediate support system in your household, or somebody you can call or text right away, or even if it's somebody in your community, if you could put something on a community Facebook page or group, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to give advice, to lend a helping hand. But it's up to us to be vulnerable enough to do it. You know, that's one of the strongest things any person can do, is be vulnerable. Because even though it's good to say what it is you're going through, yeah, you do. You open yourself up to be attacked, to be made fun of. And it's a very ugly part that comes with mental health issues. But those people are probably suffering through it too, you know, and it's not really up to us to decipher if it is something that they're going through, but they're more afraid of telling what it is that they're going through than you are. You know, so use that as confidence as well. Use that as fuel to build you up to keep telling stories. You know, find a way to pick through what it is they're saying because they're afraid. Anybody that has any compassion, and if they're not afraid of anything, you know, they won't tease you, or they won't make fun of what it is that you're going through, and they won't tell you that it's all in your head. Everybody that struggle with mental health, we know, like, it's in our head, but we're not making this shit up. You know what I mean? We are battling with ourselves with this, trying to figure out what we're doing, you know, what we're going through, how we can get better, how we could deal with it. And a lot of times we struggle with it alone, and we don't necessarily have to. You know, we got to take that step to be willing to tell somebody that we're going through something. And anybody that seek help from a psychiatrist, a psychologist, my hat's off to you, you know, because it's really hard to look a stranger in their face and then just be completely vulnerable with them and open with them. You know, even if it's their job, this is somebody that you have not built up any trust with, no type of relationship. And yeah, I take my hat off to anybody that's getting help for it, because it's needed. We don't always know, even if you're somebody like me who usually have the answers to everybody else's problems. And when you're going through it, you can't tell yourself the same advice that you tell everybody else. It's hard to get that advice to yourself, and it's hard to grab that concept that something is going on with you that bad to where you cannot give yourself advice. And when you walk into a psychiatrist, psychologist, a doctor's office, and you sit down and tell them that your head is messed up, your mind's playing tricks on you. That was the Ghetto Boys, by the way. But it's so important, you know, and it helps us, whether we want to believe it or not. It really does help us to get over what we're going through. We have to find a way to keep that relationship strong with the people that love us most. We have to find a way to keep that bond as tight as we can. Because while we're suffering, they're suffering. And it's so easy for things to come loose and be misunderstood and even see things the wrong way. But if we're not willing to let them in, so we can talk to them about what we go through and even get their point of view of what they see from us. It's like, how can you keep something when there's no openness to it? You know, when I first got hurt at work, I kept telling people I didn't need help with anything. And I'm a lefty and I had no use of my left hand, so I needed tons of help. And I'm pretty sure that pissed my wife off. But it's important that we tell those people what we go through. And if you can sit and be 110% honest with yourself first, and then be honest with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, anybody like that, that is true strength. Like, I can't even explain how much stronger you are because of that. But we got to get comfortable with it. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I hear that going around a lot lately. And ain't nothing wrong with it. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, a book I read or listen to. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Do something that makes you uncomfortable every day. And uncomfortable situations always come up. But when you get used to that, you know how to deal with it better. And it helps you. You know, it helps you. It doesn't bother you as much being in uncomfortable situations. Everything about mental health is uncomfortable. And if you're dealing with it every day, you don't have to do nothing to make yourself uncomfortable. You're already going through uncomfortable situations. Get used to it so you can deal with it, so you can tell people about it, so you can hear other people's stories. And I think that's one of the greatest therapies. Sitting down and talking to somebody whose brain is just as messed up as yours is. It's helped me. I know somebody that I talk to often, and you know, we congratulate each other when we reach milestones or find things that help us. This guy, Keith Snyder, if you guys remember him, I interviewed him on my podcast. He interviewed me on his podcast. It feel good to be able to bounce ideas and things off each other, share with each other, you know, accomplishments that you're going through or that you get. So, but the only way to get there is to start telling your story. It's to start letting people in. But you got to let yourself in first. You know, you got to let yourself know that it's okay to put this out there in the world. It doesn't do anybody any good to hold this stuff in and just let it build and fester and just poison you. You know, that's all it is poison your mind. And the more it build up, the worse it is when it come out. And dealing with mental health, we got enough going on already. We don't need nothing extra. So that's my little rant for the day. And maybe I can get some damn sleep now. I doubt it because I feel like I've been asleep. I was actually about to eat some, but I'm not. Get my ass back in bed because I got to work in the morning. Being back at work has been hella uncomfortable. I did climb a pole. I climbed the strand, the part I fell from. And, you know, it feels good to be back at work. But it doesn't suck. But it'd be nice if I can get through a day at work without my PTSD or my anxiety kicking in. But even when that happened, you know, Sometimes I'll tell my customers, like, I need a minute. I gotta go outside, clear my head, or I was climbing a pole and had an anxiety attack, so I need a minute to calm down. All my customers have been super supportive of that, and it's nice when you get a stranger that congratulates you for going through what you're going through and being able to still show up to work and perform your job and still do a good job. I'm not 100% the tech that I was before my PTSD, but maybe I'll get there. If not, then I'll move on. It'll be something that I'll be good at, that I'll be able to be 110%. I just got to give myself that time to, let myself go through it. So whenever you're going through anything, tell people about it. I'll learn. Make it known. Don't be afraid. Just get it out there. It'll be the best thing you could do for yourself. It'll be the best thing you could do for your family. And then, who knows how your voice might spread? Who knows how your story might spread? Your voice might change a community of people that's dealing with mental health. And damn it, that'll feel good. It should. But I'm going to go ahead and try and lay it down, and we'll see how this thing go. But if you don't have to work tomorrow, happy weekend to you. I don't like you very much because I got to go to work tomorrow. Yes, I'm a hater when people are off and I'm not. So what? But, yeah, if you hear this, reach out to me. If you got anything to say, any comments, feedback, you want to share with your story with me, go to my website, vulnerabletruths.com. That's truths with an S. Vulnerable Truth. Oh, I'm also running for school board. I got a school board page, Dante.info. Yeah, I'm trying to do a lot. And then hopefully this year I'll go into business for myself, with myself, about mental health, awareness, mentor, maybe even politics one day. One day, maybe. I don't see that happening, but it's possible. I guess anything's possible. But y'all have a good night. Appreciate you for listening. And I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.